What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Let's get started. Okay, let's talk about it here. Here we are on the 26th of March. We have about 10 hours left in the day. 87,200 and dropping is what it looks like right now. I do want to start off by just taking a kind of simple approach from a overall high to an overall low of this move. You can see that we are finding resistance at the 382, and generally speaking, whenever you move down, you kind of find resistance at three key areas before you persist moving down, right? In any downtrend, um, oftentimes it's the golden ratio, oftentimes it's the 382, and sometimes, rarely, you do find resistance at the 236. Even on the less common end, the 236, and then going up to the 786, 886, stuff like that, and then dropping. That's also a little bit less common, but they happen. It is very common. It's very, very common to stop right around the 382 and then persist lower. What's also very common is to find resistance here at the 382, find support at the 236, and then continue your way up to the golden ratio. But my problem with that is we haven't done so. You've had the reason, the volume even. It's above average volume right here on this day. You didn't go anywhere. You just stopped. You found resistance really at prior areas of support back here. Prior areas of support there, like right at the very, very base of the zone back from the low in January 13th there. Um, it's not it's not convincing to me that we're going to the upside. The longer that we stay here, the longer that we do consolidate, we do have a chance to go to the upside. Don't get me wrong, because right now it's looking like we should reject, so this should happen over the coming days here. But if we consolidate, like this here, here's the golden ratio. You're supposed to find support off of this, but the longer that you grinded it out and you consolidated here, inevitably you broke through, right? So same kind of concept, but to the other side. The longer that you grind it out, and you stay here, I mean, you're likely going to break through. But I think that over the coming days, we will start to move down. It is Wednesday, man. So we're getting close to the end of the week here, Thursday, Friday. I do believe that we could really drop any day now. The expectation has been to move sideways for the past few days, and we have done exactly that. So we're just moving sideways, not doing anything. I think the reason why is we're just put on pause right now until the April 2nd news event, the tariff event happens. I think people are on their seats, are uncertain of what's going to happen, and oftentimes uncertainty is met with downside. That's just kind of how it is. And I do believe that we will sell in anticipation of the event. We probably will, over the coming days. I think Friday or beyond, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, something like that in that time frame. Maybe all of those days drop, maybe none of them drop. But I'm just saying I think that we will continue to move sideways until Friday and then drop. But it could happen today by the end of the day. It could happen tomorrow. I mean, we're just because we move down a little bit doesn't mean that we're dropping, right? I mean, we could continue to drop from today until Friday or today until Sunday and just slowly bleed, and then once Monday hits, then we actually drop. When I say drop, I'm talking about this. I'm talking about this, right? I'm not talking about the slow bleed down. I'm not talking about that, right? We could slow bleed for the next couple of days or just move sideways the next couple of days. It really wouldn't surprise me. The call at the moment is to go down to about 70K, 72K, somewhere in that area. And before we get on with that, I just want to point out this fib, right? You're finding resistance at the 382, pretty common area to reject and go down from. If we take a high to a low here, you're also finding resistance right here at this golden ratio. It's kind of like double resistance on the Fibonacci aspects here, relative and overall. If we break below this 236, if you break below this 382, likely that will condemn you to these lower prices, lower than this low, and we're going to go over that right now. That level is at about 83,400. Now, if some of you are hearing that and you're like, I thought it was 80,700. 80,700, more relatively speaking, is somewhat significant. But with this, I'm going to delete this here, and I've actually talked about this a couple times over the past couple of days. With this productivity that you've had in the fibs on this scale, 382, 236, 0.5, 382, 618, like you've just been stair stepping your way up. Now that the 382 is kind of your last line of support, if you break that is just as significant as breaking the 236 was before you had this last pump, right? Again, back here, breaking through the 236 was the line to watch. But now that you've moved up more, if you don't maintain this productive look, it's condemning. So to not maintain this productive look, you just basically have to take out where your last low was relative to the fibs here. So getting below that 382 is significant, and then you pair that with the overall 236 here, just comes in line perfectly there. 83,400, 83,300, whatever you want to say, however you want to look at it. That's the area that I do think that we need to break. That whenever it breaks, will likely suggest that we are going lower, and the lower targets that we're expecting. If we take a high to a low here, you can see that we have a nice 74.5K area to a 68.8K area right there on our next kind of fib zones. It's very common whenever you break through the golden ratio. This is not a break, this is a wick, but when you break through it, to at least see the 1,886,200 area, and sometimes you do progress through that. Um, there's another fib, right? This one here from a low to a high here. You've got your 1,272 in that same area, your 1,618 just down right here in this same area. So I really do think that you'll find support somewhere in this zone down here, really between 69K, 68K, whatever, and 74,000. But I believe more so that you will go just a little bit through 72.2K, but time will tell. We'll see how it goes. It wouldn't surprise me at all if you found support at 73K. Why is 73K fine? Why is 74K fine? Because that's kind of this area that you found resistance at right here, right? On a wicking basis, you found resistance there, you found resistance there, and that's right at just below 74K. So it's all in the heart of this zone, man. That's where I think we're going. A lot of people, you know, seem to be confused, and this happens. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I do encourage that people do their own research. You can do it. It's very simple. You know, just you can go on X. It can be this simple, and this is not refined like the most scientific kind of means of doing it, but you can survey your own data to a certain degree, right? Just like raw data on sentiment. If, let's see here, if you go to explore and you type in, has Bitcoin found its low? Let's just see what comes up here real quick. I don't know. I'm literally just doing this off the top of my head. I've actually never done it like this. I just kind of follow people. Let's see. Bottom is in for Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin has developed a clear higher low in its downside deviations. So people are bullish, right? Bitcoin was not drawn, and obviously, you know, you're gonna see this and see only bullish things if you're typing in Bitcoin has found its low. But if you look through, the point that I'm trying to make here is if you go to a big account like this, like Coin Bureau, one of the biggest accounts in crypto, or if you go to Rect Capital, one of these, and you just read their comments and go through and tally yourself. See if people are bullish or bearish. You'll see, and only big accounts, right? Because small accounts, they might have more niche kind of people that agree with them, right? Where like on a large account, you could have all types of minds and just people from all over the space follow the large accounts. So you know, try and find that and then read through the comments, tally up how many people are bullish, how many people are bearish, and you'll see it's actually, for some reason, a lot of people think that the majority of people in the market right now are bearish, but that's not true. The reason why I think people think that the majority of participants right now are bearish, and by the way, if you have Grok, you can actually just skip all the BS and you can just ask Grok. You can go, what is the percentage of I don't know, bullish versus bearish speculators according to X data / chatter on Bitcoin going lower versus Bitcoin found its low. I don't know. Let's see if he understands what I'm saying. I didn't really think that one through too properly, but I'm sure he'll understand what I'm saying. Grok will understand what I'm saying. Right? We'll go through. We'll just let him load up. Right? Look at this. About 58% versus bullish versus 42% bearish. You can literally, and then look, he's got one post from Blocks Experts, whatever, you know, he puts kind of somewhat big accounts here. For a more precise percentage, real-time analysis of Expo specifically mentioned those phrases would be needed, but based on current data, bullish speculators appear to dominate recent chatter. Analyze recent X trends, and the thing is, this is just speculation too, as well, right? Grok is not perfect, and this is an estimate too, but he's saying this from the chatter that he's deriving, or that I say that Grok is deriving from X, and you know, I think that if you do the same thing, you'll see exactly what I'm saying. That it's actually not a lot of people think that most people are bearish because the fear and greed index is at a high level of fear. But that's not necessarily how it works all the time. You can have a high level of fear and still have a lot of people that are bullish on Bitcoin, right? Or that they're holding out for Bitcoin, that they're holding out hope for Bitcoin. And I know that it doesn't make sense, but this is not a perfect indicator. It takes a lot of data in, and sometimes it doesn't capture the absolute true sentiment of the current time frame. So people thinking that most people are bearish just because the fear and greed is high, that's not always true. And the only reason I know that is because this is my third bull market, and I've seen it plenty of times where we've been in excessive amounts of greed and a lot of people were fearful. We've seen excessive amounts of fear, a lot of people were greedy, and we're in one of those times right now. And I wouldn't even say a lot, but it's the majority. It's definitely the majority. If not, if you can't get on board with that, just accept it's not a majority of bears. It's about half and half. I did my my own tally. I went through 100. I went through hundreds of comments, and I tallied it up here on my notepad, and it's pretty 50-50, and the yeses do have it. I got like 10 more yes votes, so I wouldn't necessarily agree with Grok that it's like a 58% versus a 40 whatever 42%. I wouldn't agree with that necessarily, but he's got access to more data than I do. So, anyways, moving on with that, just check yourselves, right? If you're relying, if you're someone out there who's new to the market, I'm talking to you. If you're new to the market and you think you know something because you've read the fear and greed index and everybody's like, ho, the fear, everybody's bearish. Isn't it weird how everybody is saying everybody's bearish? Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? It's almost like everybody's kind of bullish, actually. But I wouldn't say everybody's bullish. I wouldn't say everybody's bearish. I'd say a lot of people are kind of up in arms, uncertain of what's going to happen with this right now. It is a very widely debated topic if this is the low or not, and we'll see. It might not be. I would really hope that I'm wrong. I'd really hope that we do just continue to move up. The sooner that we move up, the higher we can move up. You know what I mean? And in a shorter amount of time. I'm going on vacation soon. I'm sure I'm not the only one. We need some extra cash for vacation. Let's go. You know what I mean? They got a casino where I'm going, but that's, I guess I don't need extra cash for that. But $87,300 right now. The expectation is to go to the downside. $74,000 to $70,000. That's kind of the expectation at the moment. Daily RSI chilling at this area that you found resistance before. You found resistance before. You've actually found support at this area before. Somewhat of a significant area, but not the most significant area. You could continue to go higher. Make no mistake, you guys, if you see prices as high as like 91K, even 93K, that does not absolve you of going lower. You do need to close 2 days above 91,000. If you can do that, okay, then I will start to turn bullish. I'll probably even start to turn bullish if we close 1 day above 91K. But if we get above 91K and then we come back down and we don't close above there, that's just going to validate what I'm saying. And I think that would be an actual like true top to this range. However, I'm kind of anticipating that this is the top here, and that will just begin moving down. Let's look at the short-term time frames and then kind of finish this bad boy up. Okay, let's see here. 4-hour RSI, yes, looking a little bit weak here. Not the weakest. You are pretty strong overall, but failing to get overbought after being so deeply overbought like this, that's not necessarily encouraging, right? That does imply to me that you're probably going to go down. We do have support coming in on this trend line here, right? Higher lows throughout the whole thing. Let me see if I can get an actual straight line on here. From that low coming down, something like this. Yeah, I'd say that. Got a little blemish here, but this I feel like is more respected. There's more touch points. You could find support here on the 4-hour, absolutely. You know, if we find support, if we go a little bit lower, close this 4-hour candle down, how many hours do we have left in it? 1 hour, 50 minutes. If we like chill here and we close down here, we very well could move back up. I could see that happening and then eventually inevitably break down from here. I don't anticipate that we're just going to move down today, right? So if we move back above 88K, don't get too excited. Even if we move above 89K, don't get too excited. But I'm more anticipating that we're kind of going to be put on pause for the rest of the day and probably Thursday as well. And then starting Friday, late Friday, and then maybe even early Saturday, that'll be when we begin to move down. And anybody out there that's saying, "Don't you know anything about crypto? You don't make moves over the weekend. Here, you read a book." I don't know. Like, yeah, man, I know that the weekends aren't normally prone to big moves, but sometimes they are. And during these kind of like highly speculative times, I mean, let's not forget that February 3rd, this happened here on the weekend. It says Monday, but it happened on the weekend before the stock market was open. That was a Sunday, that was a Saturday, that was a Friday. We began to move down all of those days there. Here, Monday, right? We started moving down Friday, Saturday was somewhat green, Sunday, Monday was red, and most of that happened, again, before the stock market opened, I'm pretty sure. Sunday here dropped, Saturday, Friday here. It happens, you know what I mean? So just because that's the rule of thumb doesn't mean it's always the strict guidelines. So check yourselves in your beliefs. Make sure that you're actually doing the research and the data yourself. You're actually analyzing things. Don't just hear what people are saying and think that you're smart because you're repeating the same things. Okay, try and actually do your own research and form original thoughts. That way you can have a better understanding of what the actual data is telling you. And in my opinion right now, if I'm right, we'll see. Who cares if I'm right? Who cares if I'm wrong? I'd actually hope that I'm wrong. That's like genuinely, a lot of people hope that they're right all the time just for their own vanity. I hope I'm wrong because I want my pockets to grow and I want your pockets to grow too. But I do believe that we're going to see 74 to 70K. I don't really have anything else that I want to say. 4-hour time frame looks somewhat bullish. You're probably in an area where you'd bounce. So don't be surprised if you do move back up to about 88K or so, maybe even 89K by the end of today. Don't be surprised. Because while the 4-hour does look somewhat bullish, you're also in this very precarious area where if you just go a little bit lower, If you see prices down like $1,000 from here, you're going to break out of this uptrend on the 4-hour, and that could cascade things down today. So even though I am thinking it's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, somewhere in that time frame that we begin to drop for real, it could happen any day now. It could happen any moment. Today could be the day. You never know. 1-hour RSI looks pretty bullish, so a little confliction there between the bearish. Little confliction there between the 1-hour and the 4-hour. 15-minute time frame, also bearish. Of course it is though, right? Let's see. Load. Yeah, also bearish. I would have assumed. I mean, if the 1-hour is bearish, the 15 minutes is going to be bearish. That's a lot of volume, but you had a lot of volume here and it didn't do anything. So I mean, whatever. Anyways, guys, I'm going to end the video there. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. 87K now, 74K later, and probably below that. All right, take care.